One of the uncomfortable realizations that I've had lately is the frog in the kettle. You guys know the story, right? The frog in the kettle is the analogy about how if you boil a frog by 1 degree increments over the course of raising the temperature every minute or two by 1 degree, the frog literally doesn't realize it's being boiled alive. And, it's a croaked. Well, we've been boiling in Marxism and communism taking over the United States for some time. And it's like, and because it's incremental and there's so much stimulus and news cycles, and America is such a beautiful place, and people can just get lost in whatever sauce they want to, you can miss it. But if you're actually prophetically, as I know many of you are, wired to the times, then you're with uneasiness, you watch certain developments. Now, what's really weird is I love Facebook. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You guys, we met on Facebook. I have to say, for all of the, complaints that I have with the way they've handled deplatforming the President of the United States, it's been a platform it's not been a blessing. It's like the Roman roads. I mean, you could be persecuted on them as a first century Christian, but you also connect to the gospel around the world because of the Roman roads. So Rome had its positive and negative side. But I'm saying that to say that I really fear that I could be deplatformed. Now, why am I fearing that? Not because I'm cursing, not because I'm provoking people to violence, not because I'm saying something racist or destructive to anyone's self-identity, but because I'm so close to the truth on stuff that the government doesn't want us talking about. That this is where Marxism comes in, when the government becomes Big Brother's partner. Now, right now, there's a merger of this dangerous liaison between one worldview, which is the progressive Marxist worldview, that says that people that are conservatives, that are Christians, that are not trusting the government, that are Trump supporters, are insurrectionists, are dangerous, and need to be monitored. So I remember when Rudy Giuliani got taken off of YouTube because he posted a YouTube of footage that he had gotten from some inside sources in the police department about the January 6th event. And he circled with an orange pen, like a Jing app is what it's called. He circled suspicious characters that were acting as though they were part of Antifa, but weren't, or they looked like Antifa guys as part of the break-in, but were actually what he believed was government agents. Now, the report tonight that came from Tucker Carlson, based on a report in Revolver that you can read, you go to revolver.com, you read it, is what I feared all along. And I hope that I will not be punished for what I'm about to tell you. But I believe that based on their reporting, the FBI has become an instrument of a political worldview that is now persecuting and targeting the citizens. And to what degree it is doing it, well, the director Ray is saying that the January 6th breach is the most horrifying, only because these guys live in Washington. Now you see, if you're in Seattle, if you're if you're living in Oregon, if you're living in one of those cities where your houses were burnt down and people were marauding through the streets and you were living in fear, you're like, you're expendable. But don't you dare come near the Washington elite. What? Speechless. So they freaked out. But it doesn't totally ring with me because Ray is doing a little bit of theater. In fact, there's another story here of faux outrage. Oh, it's like dramatization. It was the greatest egregious violation of humanity. It's pure BS theatrics, I think. You know why? Because the Revolver article substantiates what I thought. How many of those activists that were in the insurrectionist militia groups on January 6th, of which I was there. I saw like, out of, I guess I was wandering through a crowd of 200,000 of them because I showed up a little late and had to carve my way through blocks of them to get to a VIP seating area, which a friend of mine had arranged in front of Trump. And, well, I was a little late getting there. And so I had to carve my way through the crowd. And I saw what was 5 people that bothered me over here, which basically looked like people in like all this riot gear, making believe they were some cool, I don't know, it reminded me like a Boy Scout militia group. And then there was like 6 rowdy, guys that looked like they were from the inner city, who would, tip a car over. I looked at them. The vast majority were not like that. So when I saw the footage of what was going on, and I said to myself, that isn't the typical, flag-waving Trump supporter who'll be lollygagging through the Capitol, not breaking into buildings, not destroying things, not burning them down, not like the 60 cops that were killed and the 70 that were, or the 40 cops that were killed and the 70 that were injured and put in the hospital by the riots with Antifa and BLM, of which nobody, as I understand, was arrested. But we got the Walmart cashiers all under lock and key. The question right now is with the 400 that are locked up, being treated like they're Al-Qaeda. Why is there 30,000 hours of footage that hasn't been released? How did Giuliani get taken down? Because he was circling face. I realized it. Because of the high level of FBI and government infiltration into that event on January 6th to make sure it happened. Remember Clapper. Remember Comey. Remember McCabe. Remember Strzok. Remember Page. Remember Brennan. All of them. Characters out of like a Russian novel about deep state entrenched trench coat sleazeball operatives who would who would be doing these kind of weird CIA things that you read about in a paperback book. And there they are against Donald Trump and against you. And they're still wandering around. What burns me up is the fact that the Revolver article reveals that as much as 30 or 40% of the 12 supposed conspirators that were trying to kidnap Governor Whitmer in Michigan actually were agents. Agents, because the way they had so many that the agents don't even know each other as an agent. It's agent 1, agent 2, agent 3, agent 4. And they didn't even know each other as an agent. That way they can keep their channels separate. But when you've got like 30 or 40% of the people, or if you have an agent who is a catalyst actually helping to facilitate something, that's a far different cry than someone who happens to be like one of those movies where the good guy, infiltrates the gangster cell and, and sees what's going on and is conflicted about how far he's supposed to go before, or gets exposed and gets killed himself. Now, this isn't that at all. These are people that are almost like facilitating, because the government mentality is you're the problem and they're going to try to prove it. It's like the fake white supremacist stuff. They're constantly Jesse Smollett stuff, or the noose with the NASCAR driver. Meanwhile, you do have actual crime going on, but it's not fitting the description of white danger. So, which Merrick Garland, a goofball, attorney general, saying there's the number one problem. Something really has to get reined in. When the military, your military Pentagon geniuses say, the number one issue we're dealing with is a threat against America, climate change. Oh my God, is this like some kind of, an episode of, what the heck, Austin Powers? Climate change. Really? That's what Joe Biden said he was briefed on when he was back there with Barack by the Department of Defense. This is the number one threat. Climate change. Yeah, by the way, the whole climate thing, don't let me go on that, because I'm not going to do a Lance rant on that. That's not what I'm here for. I want to show you something else. But just this ought to shut the lid on all this stupidity on climate right now. Are you ready for it? I'm surprised nobody's seen the obvious. Do you know what the most radical solution is to the climate change issue of global warming? I say, Let's shut down all global commerce. Shut down the cars and the roads and the belching factories with their carbon smoke. Shut down the airlines. Shut down the cruise ships. Shut them down. Give us a month, a global sabbatical. Give us a 6 months. How about a year, a global Sabbath of just let nature get a break? We did that. That was what just happened with COVID. Did you hear one person say, the cars stopped. People stayed at home. They didn't go to work. The factories shut down. Hey, Mother Nature got a whole year off. Imagine if we had all agreed, okay, climate is an issue. Let's just stop everything. Let's put the whole world into a great global depression if necessary, but let's save the spotted owl. Well, there you go. We did it. We did it, Dingy. We did it. Oh my gosh. Climate. It's still there. Last time I looked, the climate was still there. As long as there's climate, there's a need for change. Okay. So back to the January 6th issue. How many, just like with the Governor Whitmer story, we're finding out about the agents that were involved with dealing with the mentally ill guy who was leading it. He basically, to what degree was the FBI creating narratives, expediting the stimulus of them in the minds of weak people, and then inviting them in, and then using that as proof? This is what concerned me about, I heard guys saying, hey, I was in Hong Kong. I watched how the Chinese communists did it. They infiltrated the protesters to actually do acts of violence in front of the media so that they could justify cracking down on the protesters. Oh, how about infiltrating a Trump rally so as to help facilitate a breach in the Capitol, so as to cover it, so as to make it a pretext for attacking Trump, shutting down any election interference, and putting a lock on power, and targeting and smearing Republicans as terrorists. You don't think it's possible? Watch this. It just shut down. Did you guys see that? You can't make this up. My TV just shut down on me. You can't make this stuff up, guys. You saw it. About as subtle as a train wreck. Well, evidently, that broadcast was... Oh, it's hot as anything here in Texas. Just look at me. Look at me. Well, actually, I put some moisturizer on, so it's deceptive. But I wanted to give you guys an update because many of you are, you care about the things that I broadcast about. And of course, this week I've been working with news coverage. I mean, I covered so many big news events and did so many interviews over at Charlie Kirk's thing that he had, Turning Point. But the lawn furniture, do you recall the problem I had? To update some of you, I have this situation where my wife gets stuff all the time, and she literally has storage units, warehouses of stuff given to her. I mean, I used to think this was a joke years ago. People would say, that if you sew pens, you get pens. If you sew cars, you get cars. You sew houses, you get houses. Well, I don't know what happened. She's sewing beds and furniture, clothing and food, and yeah, cars are starting to come through now. So it's getting kind of crazy. So anyway, she had this stuff in the driveway. She was going to give the neighbors because, it's like, and it's not that big a deal. I mean, some people buy, they just wanted to tell you, anyway, it's pool furniture. So I was talking to the people here. Well, what do I do about that? Because I like this furniture. But then I wanted to put it in my backyard. But then, I was conflicted. Should I give it to the neighbors? Well, the neighbors have a pool. I don't even have a pool, okay? So I'm sewing to a pool. It's okay to give them, furniture for their pool. But I mean, I don't even know if they want it. But you guys have seen this kind of stuff in parks and I saw in prayer gardens even this stuff. But I put it in my backyard. I guess what I want to do is I want to show you what I did with it, okay? Let me show you what I did. And it looks kind of, I don't know. I put it around a tree. But it seems so, I haven't put a plant in here. It just looks kind of, does that look normal? I got a yard, it's like, It's a nice yard. My family wanted me to get a fence, just, because people, well, I'm a public figure, and people, the crazy people, can try to get at you. So I thought I'd put a little bit of resistance, put a fence up. But, I mean, I do want to sit in the back and pray by the tree. What do you think? See? This is like my corner of the lot here. Then someone told me that doesn't look so good. Now, here's the other part of this. I want you to understand the situation. We also have the bird bath. But as I found out, the bird bath attracts birds, obviously, and we have some bird food things that hang from the tree. So, a few of these, hear those birds chirping away, and the bird bath. Now, the bird bath is not in the same section as the other stuff. And why is that, you ask? Because of bird poop. Because the birds will poop, and I don't want the poop on that over there. See, I'll be sitting under a bunch of poop if I have this. Now, it's separated, and it looks now that looks kind of goofy in a way, doesn't it? Like just having one little lone. So I guess what I'm saying is, my wife said, this is what you want, Lance. But, it's one of those things where you're feeling kind of dorky, like maybe not the smartest. I'm going to give you guys, and it probably maybe belongs at a pool. I got a low connection out here. Got a low connection. I should have known. I'm in the backyard recording with a low connection. All right, okay, I got a low connection. So, guys, have any thoughts on this? I'll be reading your comments. It's not a big update. Well, I have lots of stuff to talk about. What happened in Guatemala recently with Kamala Harris's trip down there, and other important news, just all over the place. But frankly, I thought you want that update, and it's not a very big spiritual point. I thought I'd tell you what's happening. Okay, let me know what your thoughts are. Does it look silly?